Hi, it's Angela De Souza here with Julita Stachowiak. I hope I said that correctly, Julita.
That's right.
And we're going to be chatting with her live from Poland about her incredible journey with J&B Finance. And so just to give you a little bit of an introduction, Julita is the founder of J&B Finance, an accounting consultancy business made up of a team of 8 amazing women. Julita was 18 when she gathered all she had to travel to Cupar in Scotland on the pretense that there was a job waiting for her there. I can hear the dum coming. When this turned out to be untrue, she was forced to turn away and start from scratch. In a true display of resilience and ambition, Julita transformed the setback into an opportunity to bounce back, obtaining a first-class degree in accounting and finance, and moving through the corporate ranks to finally own a successful business of her own. Today, we'll learn how she managed to pick herself up at such a young age and how she manages to stay motivated and what it's like to lead her team in an increasingly male-dominated industry. So that's a little bit about you, Julita. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's actually very uplifting hearing the introduction. I could never do one like that myself.
No, it's an amazing story and we can't wait to get stuck into it. So let's start from the beginning. What made you take this 24-hour trip to Scotland?
A long story short, when I was 16, my parents divorced. It was really tough time. If you recall, in 2005, 2004 is where the borders opened for Poland as well to European Union. And, I kind of saw the trend of even people kind of graduating from universities, they were kind of still moving abroad just to try a better life, shall I say. And to cut a long story short, my situation was not the best in terms of financially and where we were as a family. And my boyfriend at the time, my husband today, was in a similar situation. So we, as soon as I graduated high school, we just jumped into the bus and decided to try our luck in Scotland. The funny story. I had this really old car that my whole family was kind of driving from my granddad to my mom, then to me. My granddad sold it on the day of our departure, and that's kind of was the pocket money that I had to make it, or or don't make it. So it was quite a big decision, but I kind of thought if we stay, I would have to probably work really hard full time and try to get studying at the same time. So we just thought we'll give it a shot, and we didn't really think much of it. I was 18 and thought, what could happen? So we left.
And why Scotland?
Because in Scotland at the time, again, European Union students had a big discount in university fees. So I kind of thought that we should go there so I can, afford it at the end of the day. So yes, and Edinburgh and Scotland was always one country that I really wanted to visit. So we decided that's the best shot.
Just took the plunge.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, what happened? What happened when you got there?
We were traveling very long, and I just remember we both had the same waterproof jackets with my boyfriend that we bought at the time because we thought it's going to rain a lot in Scotland as it does. And we arrived to Cupar, which I thought I thought I understood English. I studied English at high school, but oh my goodness, when we got
Scottish English is another
I
language.
don't know if you heard the
it?
proper Scotsman speak, but we didn't even understand the destination. Again, when we arrived there in this factory, no one actually heard of us. It was through a friend. So it was really bad weather as well. We literally just had everything on our backpacks. We walked in and they said, I don't know. I mean, you can just imagine there's people sitting in the office and these two weird, couple walking in with, So we just turned back, and I mean, I started crying. But my husband said, well, let's go back to Edinburgh. And actually, we had this one number to this guy we've never met, but it was friend of a family, and we phoned him and said, could we crash at your place tonight? We didn't know where to go really. So yeah, we ended up going back to Edinburgh bus station and just waited for him. And when he arrived, he just walked straight to us, and I asked him why. How did you know it was us? We never. And he just laughed. He just said, like, of course. I mean, he's sitting there like two lost puppies. I lived in Edinburgh then for 8 years, 9 years, and every time I walked past that bus station, I just had to, it was just a very emotional place.
Oh, yeah.
But
Did it make you want to laugh or cry or both?
Yeah, I think both. But to be honest, I always knew I could come back, if worse come to worse. But we were there, so we were just going to give it our best shot, and then the rest is history.
You stayed quite a long time in Edinburgh. Did you grow to love it there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just such a beautiful people and just a city, so much to do. And, I still have friends, from all over the world that are there. And obviously Edinburgh Festival every year just bring, this crazy, artists and everyone from all over the world. And I studied in Edinburgh. So yeah, it's probably it's the closest city in my heart for sure. I sort of only moved career-wise to up north, but if I was going to move back, I would probably choose Edinburgh again. Lots of memories.
And just a short advert break. We can meet Julita in person at this year's Women's Business Conference in Edinburgh. So we're really looking forward to meeting you in person, having you with your expert pod at the conference. And so, if anybody's watching, this is around October time. And it's going to be great to see you in person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bringing you back to Edinburgh.
Absolutely.
So after such a devastating blow as a teenager, what was going through your mind and what were your next steps?
Well, as I said, I always wanted to go to university. I did have this sort of finance career in mind. So I had two options: make it there, for a year and save up, as much money as possible. And either go back to Poland and at least have money to be able to study and live in probably bigger city where I came from. It was a really small town, or try to study as much English as I could, because it turns out my English was not so great when I originally thought when we left. And I went to college in the meantime. And just try to get to Scottish University. So that was sort of my only option, and I'm kind of a person that when I set myself a goal, at least I know where I'm going, and I'm going to go through whatever I have to go through to get there. I must say, if you put me back in the on that day, and if I knew what was the year I'm gonna have in terms of the amount of hours I was working, type of jobs, and studying at the same time. But you're 18 years old. I think it's you just do whatever you have to do just to get it done. And so I kind of wasn't considering going back. As soon as I got the first job in a bar, and then cleaning, and then fish and chip shop, which was experience on its own, but that's maybe for another podcast.
You learn a lot about a country when you work in
a
fish and chip shop,
don't I did not understand a word what they were saying to me. It was just the most crazy Scottish slang, and I don't know if you know, but the type of food they have: king rib suppers and a wee fish and chips. It was like a different language. So
yeah, it really is. When I first came to this country, I also worked in a fish and chip shop, and it was so intimidating. Like, what's a pickled egg? Why do they pickle the eggs? And looking at the coins, like taking so long just to see what is the 5p. It was just, I felt so silly, like not knowing the basic things.
Yes.
So I know exactly how you felt. And then adding the Scottish language on top of it, which is a whole nother language. Gosh,
absolutely.
you're very brave.
After that that when I was in KPMG, and and we had clients that came from really up north or spoke really kind of rough Scottish. They were always wondering. They were asking me, how you understand? I'm like, well, the fish and chip shop experience, got me.
That was your
got me to
education in
understand.
Scottish
So
English.
every job has something valuable that you will always use in the future. I think.
Yeah. And so you studied, you qualified, and then you went into corporate. And what challenges did you face, going from corporate, to a leader in your own right?
I think just to clarify, it was my dream when I was at university to get to KPMG, which is obviously one of the big four accountancy firms in the world. So I was honored to get there, especially in 2010 when it was really booming in terms of the candidates for these jobs and the audit environment and J&B Finance. So I sort of was, I loved it. And I was just really happy that I made it. But then, so I kind of did qualified within 3 years with them, and then I sort of just got a really good opportunity to move into industry, and that was in Aberdeen. And I just ended up going almost just felt like it was a right decision. So I sort of moved into consultancy, more private equity owned companies. I think the difference is that I always really like the fast moving environments, and sort of, the difference between corporate and probably startup world. And I'm sure, running your own business, that you sort of don't know what you wake up to really. And I think,
yes, exactly.
Isn't that true?
So true.
So I think that the founder's life, entrepreneurship, is just really, it's a lonely place, but it's also really sort of fast moving, and you need sort of the speed and dynamics, and be sort of that sort of person to cope with that. So I always was drawn into that sort of career, and I sort of never. I was also into automating and, just use sort of knowledge, and I said, from corporate into more, younger companies, privately owned, startups, where I could almost use that knowledge from big world into apply it into the sort of smaller scale. But also, I think as companies grow, they go through lots of different stages, and I think I was just able to apply that in different stages of companies' life, which was really handy, because I think that was sort of missing at the time. I think it's more of that now, but at the time, I think there was either you could get someone from the Big Four to help you as a secondment on big prices, or you could get someone like a bookkeeper, someone a little bit more junior to help. But it was sort of lacking that intermediate, someone that could almost do it all, one man band. So that's sort of where drawn me into moving into that space, for sure.
So is that why you started your business? Because you saw the gap, or was there another reason why you started?
Yeah, and to be honest, so when I moved to, out of KPMG, I was in consultancy business before. I sort of set on my own, and I was the first employee with Craig, who I'll say hello if he watches, but he was one of my mentors. So we sort of, this was sort of the company that then I sort of, not replicated, but I went my own after I given birth to my first boy. But yeah, I sort of was in that space, and Craig had this idea to sort of do that, sort of services to younger companies. So I was with them for a few years. They have grown bigger now. He's, it's got a big company, and he's been very successful. We still keep in touch. And I sort of, after maternity leave, I decided, and actually that was my husband as well, that he started running, set up his own company, and we just decided we'll give it a shot, and I just decided to go on my own. But it was quite a decision, I must say, because at the beginning, as everyone, I'm sure, when they set up their company, at first they think, oh, this is going to be great, the clients will come running, standing at the door, and it never works like that, which I'm sure everyone...
No, it doesn't, does it?
So I was a bit, it was...
You only employ women. Was that intentional, or did it just turn out that way?
It absolutely happened to turn out that way. I must say, when in my career, I generally always prefer to work with guys, and I usually have, guys bosses. I don't know, just maybe it was a bit corporate world, maybe not, but I kind of thought that, I don't know, a little bit less office politics maybe at times. So I generally was used to kind of male, and as you mentioned, it is a generally male sort of dominated industry. But I first employed my assistant, and then my co-founder Bogna, who is, I mean, again, there could be another podcast just talk about her, how amazing she is. But we almost sort of set up as, and then we just kind of got to get these amazing girls. One of my senior managers actually is my ex-colleague from Aberdeen, Dorotka. Say hi to her as well. So we sort of started with just 4 of us, and then it just felt like a right energy, and we just started laughing. We should only employ women because it just feels good, and especially at the time. Now we have a couple of female clients that are absolutely powerhouses themselves, but generally we felt like I was laughing to them. We had our Monday morning calls, kind of team call, when we say, come on girls, let's get into formation. And that comes from the Beyonce song. And I always used to say it, and I sort of got into the habit because we sometimes get businesses come to us with a very messy finances and very messy situations. And that's where I say, right, gloves on, sort of yellow gloves on to scrub and rub and clean. And that's where we laughed at, the women power comes in to do that. And
you should play that as your theme song to get everyone motivated. Play the Beyonce
absolutely.
song.
I do sing it, and my girls will tell you I sing it. And now, it's 8 of us, and it just happened that it's female team, and we just love it. I don't know, we love the energy. It's the emotions that come with, I'm not going to talk about, but everyone knows different times of the month we have different emotions. Yes,
I was going to say, what's been some of your challenges?
Podcast, so we should talk about everything.
I think you should. Yes, come tell us the truth now about women working together.
Yes. So honestly, there's times
the challenges.
There's times when we cry. I mean, I'm the crier, and I feel like after having 2 kids, I even cry more. But we'll have a cry. Everyone has something going on in their life that it's sometimes hard, and we always support each other. And if one of us start crying, then we all cry, and then we all laugh, and then we get through it. So
that's good.
I think I could talk about that sort of relationship forever, but I feel like and don't get me wrong, like men are, they just get things done, and they like to just, I think they just like to action things, whereas I think we just add this sort of structure to them, to-do lists. Every woman have a to-do list, right? And just, want to get things done. So I feel like that's sort of really well, it works really well. And I'm really proud of it, that we have these women, and I'm proud of my girls every single day. And we go through so much work and so much different sort of managing expectations, and clients are different. Everyone is different. And, I think as we have this sense of, we feel the emotions is something we do as well as the accounting.
I can just visualize it. It just seems like a really fun environment, whereas accounting can sometimes be seen as quite boring and stale. Like, it sounds like you ladies make it really fun and you enjoy the journey, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, just last thing I'll say, I very often ask my clients, especially kind of more new clients when they don't know me yet, and the guy will sit opposite, and he could be from a corporate or investors, and I'll say, well, can you just tell me what keeps you up at night? And they just get thrown a bit. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, is that not the fundamental question of an entrepreneur? And let us talk about that, because that's how we can then structure. Do you want to look, I'm not going to get technical, but is the cash flow the most important? Is it your reporting that's not getting done, or you're worrying about hundreds of different things? And it just throws them a bit. And I feel like that's sort of that different approach a bit, because I understand that.
I've never had an accountant ask me that.
Well, I
I've
always
never had an
ask
account.
that.
Yeah, you know, like exactly. It's just very different. And I think it's useful, you know, for accountants to understand. I mean, for me, all my accounting relationships is just here's the receipts, here's the books, and then you know, they get off and do the work. And it's nice to know that, you know, you support people and actually care about their business, which is lovely.
Yeah, I think
From your journey as a teenager up until today, what's your biggest challenge been?
oh, oh goodness, so many challenges. I think it's almost like I think it's probably trying to stay patient with some of the goals that I had because I'm very impatient. So when I decide that something is going to be done, it's going to be done, you know, yesterday. And I think my husband will laugh
So
here
I so
because
resonate
he
with
just
that.
so I think I've grown a little bit throughout the years when I'm just like, things will happen when they're meant to happen. Sometimes it's not always that, but on the other hand, of course, that pushed me forward every time. But I think the impatience and, just not understanding how is something, not achieved or not done yet. And I think definitely being a leader to a bigger team now, it sort of taught me, I mean, oh my goodness, like it has taught me how to be vulnerable, how to be, understanding, but also sort of try to keep, not a distance, but just sort of have these two sides of it. I found it quite difficult actually, because I'm sort of give my all and, and to everybody, to clients, to the team. And then sometimes, then I have to recover from that.
Yeah. And something I just thought of, you know, it sounds like you have a wonderful relationship with your team, with your other ladies, but what is the boundary between being friends and being their boss? Like, do you find that boundary difficult? And just a second part to the question, have you ever had to fire anyone? And if not, how do you think you will face that with this amazing relationship, you know? Tell me a little
Yes.
bit around that.
Yes. So actually, and that's something we've been talking with my co-founder Bogna a lot the last few months. So since January, we've had a big spike in clients, and we just said, oh, we're gonna hire another finance manager or accountant, just add to the team, and we've. Again, long story short, we 6 months on, and we've gone through three girls. I mean, three women as well, but it just didn't work. And I think with the first person, everyone had something that was good and bad. And in terms of bad, we just haven't identified an issue. And we've learned so much through that. But I think what I've learned is don't give it all on day one. I always just want to be this mama, just like, come to us, come to our team. Look how wonderful
I
this
so relate
is.
to that. I'm exactly the same.
and that's great, but I think also you hire the certain level and you have an expectation, and I think I've learned that almost first maybe it's sometimes easier just to hire into a bit lower level and then train up the way we do things, because I also realized, and I always knew that my girls are it's a powerhouse of really hard work and really efficient working, but we are very good, so it's almost really hard for someone to step into that team, which is very strong already and very bonded together. And I think that the expectation of us was probably much higher than this person just could deliver, and they've never been in that environment. And I also think we hired from the wrong sort of background as well sometimes, which is important, because I feel like, again, going back, the startup world, young businesses world, it's a different sort of working, different expectations to when you have a corporate, the processes from A to B and sort of that scenario. So again, just to summarize, I think we did have to let them go, and it was very emotional for me. Actually, we ended up having really open conversations, and then we still, we're not on bad terms or anything like that. It was kind of mutual decisions, but it was really tough on every one of them. We've learned a lot, and I've learned, like, yes, I mean, good to be the mama, but also I am a boss and I am a business owner, and I need to look after the finances and I need to make sure everyone's paid, but also I need to have expectations and strategies and business plan, and I'm working on it. But
I so relate to that. I find I just want to care for people, I always give too much, and I just want to bring out the best in them, and I believe in them. But if they don't want to do the work or they don't believe in themselves, there's only so far you can go. But I mean, the role of a mother is equally loving and nurturing as well as disciplining. And I think the same applies as a female business leader, doesn't it? We need to be the mama, which means both. Sometimes you have to be a bit firm and sometimes you can be nurturing. But I must say, every person I've ever had to let go, I've cried because I feel like I'm losing, a child. It's like a family member. I'm not sure men would go through that. They're much more, this is business, whereas we tend to be a lot more emotional about business, don't we?
Absolutely. And my husband was laughing. Oh my goodness, what if you had 100 people? Because you already have so much emotions around this, and you have 8. But yeah, I 100% agree. And I think you do have to give it on. And the girls always say, we love it that you're yourself, and you show us the vulnerability side as well. But I do think it's something naturally people will take it if you give it. Like, it's just natural. It's not even calculated, or I'm going to abuse that sort of relationship. I think it's naturally so I wouldn't say you have to get the whip out, but I feel like sometimes you just have to remind everyone. But we've been very lucky so far. But it's been a tough 6 months in terms of the hiring, and we backed our core team. And we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I wish you every success with that. I know how challenging it is, finding the right people. Gosh. So I have 2 more questions, and I want to try fit them into 5 minutes. So let's do this. So you're clearly goal-oriented and a visionary, and you've always got big dreams. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Again, so quick answer. I want to have the same people around me that I have today. And I think that's what's the most important and what I'm thinking about. That's what I would love to have. I would like to grow the business at least six times, if possible, with the team no bigger than 15 people. And I think that's achievable with the way we work. And just have the balance more. Hopefully I learned by then just to the work-life balance. I'm much better than I used to be, but just have that sort of figured out. And I would love to go back and finally learn the saxophone. So in 10 years, I hope I'll be able to stand somewhere on the local pub and play that saxophone. So that's my dream, which I know is completely not business related, but I would love to get that one.
Oh no, we're going to book you for the Women's Business Conference 10 years' time to play at the awards ceremony.
Then I'll have a motivation to make sure.
It's a date.
Make sure I'm there.
10 years from now.
10 years, yeah.
So October 2034, you're booked to play the sax at the Women's Business Awards.
Let me book that in my calendar.
There we go. You better start learning.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I've started. I just didn't have enough space that was soundproof to continue.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine you do need a good soundproofing for that. It's quite loud.
The hat inside it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's so good for businesswomen, not only businesswomen, men as well, but we're talking about women. It's so good to have something creative, especially if you're using the one side of your brain in your business. You've got to exercise the muscles on the other side. And I find having creative hobbies, it actually makes you better problem solve. It makes you better at business, So I always encourage women, don't feel guilty about taking that time to invest in creative hobbies, because you're actually helping your business, not hindering it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
The hour lesson of the saxophone, it was using some weird places of my brain that I was absolutely exhausted after. It was just
really? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's like when you go to the gym, and you're exercising a muscle. I guess it's the same thing. That part of your brain just wasn't exercised.
It was so hard to learn the tunes. But I'm going back to it.
Good, because you've got a gig coming up.
Exactly.
At Women's Business Club, we're dedicated to fostering a community which values support and collaboration amongst women. Is there any women in particular you'd like to thank for helping you in your business journey?
And how long do we have?
Pick one.
I can't. I'm going to answer this question quite quickly, but in a different way. I have thought about this, and I honestly cannot say one, because I feel like every part of your life you go through different phases, and you do meet somebody that have a different impact on you. And sometimes I look back 10 years and I'm thinking, oh wow,
So true.
that my mentor from university, and oh my goodness, like if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. Or if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be the weightlifter. If it wasn't for the trainer after, my coach that, after I gave birth. So, my co-founder Bogna, my team, there is not a single woman that I can name that impacted me. My mom, my grandma, my best friends. So I'm not going to say one, because I feel like it would be very unfair. And I think what probably would love everyone to think, and all the women, if we all think like that whenever we meet each other, if we just think, okay, well, there's always somebody that will give you something inspiring, or will have an impact on you. And I sort of always think like that about women I meet, and I hope that I also impact them, and maybe they'll look back and think that. So no, but again, now, I mean, at this moment, the most important people obviously is, every day I work with Bogna and my team, Dorota, Joelle, Joyce, Olga, Gosia, and many more. So I would say my team, and probably my co-founder at the top now. But going back, I could name probably hundreds, not hundreds,
Yes,
but many. Just depends. Yeah, stages of life.
But that's lovely. That's how it should be, having influential people at certain points of your journey, but then also for us to be open to be the influential person in someone else's journey. I think when we do business and life like that, it's a win all round.
I think so. And it's just when you every one of us has some skill and some gift and something, and I always try to pick that and not to take it for myself, but I always will say, well, I love blow, and we should blow in our wings. And I know it sounds cheesy, but we really should. And I always try to do that. And I sometimes find people in Poland, I think, again, it's maybe Western countries are slightly different. In Poland, I think it's starting, but it's a little bit unusual when I'll say to a random person, I mean, you're amazing at this, like whatever this is, and they find this a bit odd sometimes, and I love that reaction. I love it when they're like, oh, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I just think you're amazing at this stuff that you know about." For example, the girl that will help me with, I don't know, facial massages or something, and. Yes, I think every one of us have so much to give. We should just see it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's been really lovely chatting with you, Julita. Thank you so much for joining me. We look forward to watching your story unfold and meeting you in person at the Edinburgh Women's Business Conference.
Thank you so much.
I'm super excited as well to give this a go in Polish. So if you're watching and you'd like to hear it in Polish, then there is another release coming out. Look out for that one. So thank you, Julita. And let's hop on to the Polish side.